Today, we're doing something really vital. We're
Mm,
kind of stripping away all the complexity about how you learn something new, technically speaking,
right.
and instead we're focusing laser-like on, well, maybe the hardest part, the bit we often overlook.
Which is,
How to keep learning,
yeah,
consistently over the long haul.
the endurance game. Yes.
Exactly. And we found this phenomenal resource. It's really encouraging, aimed right at language beginners.
Okay.
And it just cuts right to the heart of things like self-talk, motivation,
Yeah.
basically, endurance.
Yeah, that sounds incredibly useful because this material, it sounds like it comes from an English instruction guide,
That's right.
but it's actually quite simple, maybe deceptively so, because it's not really about like complex grammar rules or massive vocabulary lists.
No, not at all.
It's focusing on the inner game,
Yeah.
the psychological side of things, that battle we all have against wanting to quit.
Mm.
So if you've ever felt that that stress of just too much information coming at you,
Oh, definitely. Information overload.
or just the sheer frustration when your progress feels, well, painfully slow.
Like you're stuck in mud.
Exactly. This resource, it seems to provide a really actionable toolkit for that specific feeling.
That's our mission for this deep dive, really. We want to pull out that practical fuel for your learning journey.
Okay.
We're aiming to turn what might sound like gentle reminders into, concrete psychological strategies, things you can actually use for consistency.
Makes sense. So what's the context? Who is this originally for?
Right, good question. So this guidance was specifically designed for A1 and A2 level learners.
Gotcha. So A1, A2. Those are the real beginner levels,
The very beginning, foundational stuff.
which is interesting because that's often where the drop-off rates are, well, statistically the highest.
Is that right?
Yeah, people often quit right at that stage. They feel overwhelmed or they just don't believe they're improving fast enough. It feels hopeless.
So these strategies are aimed squarely at stopping that, at overcoming that early attrition.
Precisely. They're laser focused on keeping people in the game past that initial hurdle.
And the source material itself, it does recommend some practical techniques, things like slow listening.
Okay, what's that involve?
It's basically focusing really intently on audio content, but maybe audio that's a bit below your usual speed. Really concentrating.
Right, allowing the processing time.
And also shadowing, you know that one.
Yeah.
Listening to something and then immediately repeating the sentences out loud.
Oh, yeah, mimicking the sounds and rhythm. Classic technique.
But here's the thing. The source suggests the real power isn't actually in those specific techniques themselves.
Okay, so where is it?
It's in the mindset.
Hmm.
The mindset that allows you to do them consistently, day after day, even when you don't feel like it.
Ah, okay. That's fascinating. So the author, whoever wrote this, they really get that the biggest hurdle isn't like how smart you are or whether you found the perfect textbook.
Right.
It's just stopping.
Yep.
Stopping when things get hard or boring or frustrating.
Which they inevitably do.
Exactly. So by targeting beginners with this kind of almost emotional support right from the get-go,
Mm-hmm.
they're basically normalizing the struggle. They're saying, this is hard, it's supposed to feel hard sometimes, and that's okay.
Making perseverance like the central skill you need to acquire.
Yeah.
More than grammar rules.
You got it. It flips the script on what learning means.
Okay, so let's really unpack that. This core psychological foundation.
Right.
The very first message this guidance gives learners is this really powerful affirmation. It basically says, learning a new language. It's not easy.
No kidding.
And it's totally, completely normal to feel tired sometimes or feel like you're slow or you're too busy or stressed out.
All of the above, often.
Right. And these feelings, they're explicitly called out. They're not problems to be fixed. They're just part of the journey.
That framing is just so crucial, isn't it? It's cognitive reframing 101.
How so?
Well, instead of letting those negative feelings, the tiredness, the frustration, the confusion, instead of letting them become proof that you're failing or that you just don't have the language gene or whatever.
Right. Internalizing it as a personal flaw.
Exactly. It just acknowledges them, says, yep, these feelings happen when you're doing something demanding. It's a natural byproduct of like serious cognitive effort, high-level growth.
The material actually makes it clear, doesn't it, that growth needs time.
Loads of time. Time to listen properly, time to practice without rushing, time to actually, synthesize the new information.
And time for your brain to just consolidate it. Make those new connections stick.
Absolutely. And some days that process feels light, maybe even fun. And other days,
It feels like wading through treacle.
right, like pushing a boulder uphill. And the guidance says accepting both kinds of days, the easy and the hard, that acceptance is absolutely essential if you want to stick with it for the long term, longevity.
And to really illustrate this idea, this sustained effort that isn't always consistent in feel, the guidance uses this really powerful metaphor.
The mountain analogy.
Yes, learning English is like climbing a mountain. I think that visual just lands so well
It really does.
because it captures the reality, doesn't it? The long haul, the fact that the path isn't always straight up.
It's so effective because it accounts for those inevitable plateaus, too.
Explain that a bit more.
Well, think about climbing a real mountain. The path changes constantly, right?
Okay.
Sometimes it's really steep. You feel like you're making rapid progress, gaining altitude quickly.
All right, those are the good days in learning.
Then sometimes the path is easier, maybe flatter for a while. That's like a consolidation phase, maybe, where you're practicing what, feeling more comfortable.
Okay.
But then you hit those long, frustrating stretches. You're putting in the effort, you're walking, but the summit doesn't seem any closer. You don't feel like you're moving up. That's the plateau.
Ah, the dreaded plateau, where effort doesn't seem to equal results.
Exactly. And then, of course, there are those moments where you just want to stop. Maybe the weather turns bad, metaphorically speaking, you feel overwhelmed. The goal just seems impossibly far away.
Okay, let me just push back on that analogy for a second, though.
Go for it.
If you're on that mountain and you're exhausted and you stop, how do you tell the difference between taking a necessary restorative rest and actually giving up? Because psychologically, when you feel really overwhelmed, that line can feel paper thin.
That is a brilliant question. And that's actually where the key insight of this whole analogy really comes into play.
Okay.
When you do take that rest or when you feel stuck on that plateau, the advice isn't just keep pushing, it's turn around. Physically, metaphorically, turn around and look back down the mountain.
Look back. Why?
Not to criticize where you are now, not to say, oh, it should be higher. No, you look back simply to see how far you've already climbed. The material literally assures the learner you are absolutely no longer at the bottom anymore. Think about it. You've learned words they didn't know before. You've survived confusing grammar lessons. You've navigated sounds that felt totally alien at first.
Right, that backward glance. It's a motivational tool, isn't it?
Totally.
It takes the current frustration, the pain of the climb right now, and it reframes it by providing tangible proof of your past efforts, proof of your success so far.
Exactly. It validates all the time you've already invested, and it shifts your focus, even just for a moment, away from that seemingly impossible distance still ahead.
To the very real, very concrete distance you've already covered.
Yes. It's like recognizing your own personal history of growth on this specific journey.
That's powerful. It's an act of self-validation.
And speaking of motivation, the guidance offers this really refreshing take on what motivation actually is. It's not quite what we usually think.
How so? What's the usual idea?
Well, we often think of motivation as this big, loud, dramatic thing, right? Like some magic surge of inspiration that suddenly makes everything easy.
Yeah, like you suddenly really want to study for 3 hours.
Exactly. But the source says, nope, that's not usually it. More often, motivation is, well, it's quiet. It's unassuming.
Like that little quiet voice inside that just whispers, try again, or don't stop now, or maybe just, okay, just do 1 more minute.
Yes, it completely demystifies motivation, takes it off that pedestal.
Because culturally, we do tend to wait, don't we? We wait for that big emotional spike, that feeling of being in the mood before we act.
We absolutely do. But this source teaches that true sustainable motivation isn't about waiting for a feeling. It's simply the ability to return, to come back to the task after you've stopped, whether it was a setback or just a needed rest.
It's the consistency mechanism itself.
It really is. It's kind of the opposite of procrastination, isn't it? Procrastination is all about waiting for the right mood.
While this quiet motivation is the decision to start, regardless of the mood.
Precisely. And they offer that critical, actionable piece. Even small steps are good steps.
Right. Doesn't have to be a giant leap.
Not at all. Resting is fine, even necessary. The brain needs downtime to consolidate, like we said. But the only actual requirement for long-term success?
You just have to come back.
You just need to return again and again. That's the secret sauce.
And this act of returning, just trying again, it connects really neatly to something else the source talks about.
Yeah.
the courage of learning.
Ah, yes. The bravery
It
involved.
says learners are doing something many people are afraid to do.
Which is so true when you think about it. Learning a new language, especially as an adult, it's inherently vulnerable.
How do you mean?
Well, you're constantly exposing your weaknesses, right? You're making mistakes, often publicly. You're having to simplify your complex thoughts into basic sentences. You're navigating deep uncertainty, maybe in front of peers or strangers online.
Yeah, it feels quite exposing.
It requires real psychological bravery. The simple act of deciding to open the door to a new world, new ways of communicating, that takes profound courage.
So the affirmation here is basically, you should be genuinely proud of yourself just for trying, for even embarking on this journey.
Absolutely. And that pride, recognizing your own courage, it isn't just about feeling good. It actually becomes part of that quiet, consistent motivation we were just talking about.
How does that work?
It reminds you, the learner, that this whole effort isn't just some dry academic exercise. It's about personal expansion. It's about connecting with a wider world. And doing that requires guts. It reframes the effort as something heroic in a small way.
Okay, so we've laid the psychological groundwork, the mindset.
Yeah.
Now let's shift gears. Let's get into the immediate, micro tactics.
The practical toolkit.
Exactly. For that specific challenge we all face. How do I stay motivated when I feel tired or busy or stressed or just blur?
Yeah, the blur days. We all have them.
Because let's be honest, if you only studied when you felt perfectly energized and motivated,
Yeah. You'd probably study, what, twice a year?
barely even that,
Yeah.
you'd never start.
Right. So this toolkit, it sounds like it's cleverly designed to just minimize that psychological friction, the stuff that stops us from even beginning a task.
That's a good way to put it, psychological friction.
Yeah, the advice seems really tactical. It's all based on lowering the barrier to entry, making it so easy to start that the resistance, that little voice saying, ugh, I don't feel like it, it just evaporates.
Okay, so tip number 1. This feels like the golden rule for consistency, according to the source. It's simply, do write 'em. Just a little.
Just a little. Sounds easy.
Well, the source is really explicit. It says you do not need to study for a whole hour. You don't need to feel like you have to complete an entire big lesson every time.
Ah, so it's a direct assault on perfectionism.
Totally. That all or nothing thinking, that trips so many people up.
Let's just dig into the psychology of that for a second. Why does just a little work so well?
Good question. What do you think?
Well, when we think about tackling a big task, right? Like study English for an hour, our brain's executive function often throws up this huge wall of resistance
Why?
because it knows that task requires a lot of cognitive load. You need planning, energy, sustained attention. It feels daunting.
Okay.
But by deliberately defining the task as just a little, we kind of sneak past that resistance. The brain goes, oh, okay, that's manageable. I can handle that.
And what's really striking here are the specific examples the source gives for what a little actually means.
Right, like how little is a little?
The examples are almost ridiculously low effort, which is precisely the point. Things like, listen for 5 minutes.
5 minutes, seriously.
Seriously. Or read one short paragraph, just one.
Wow.
Or even repeat one single sentence in your head while you're, say, walking to the bus stop.
Okay, 5 minutes. That's practically nothing in terms of time. But the takeaway message here reinforces that mindset we were talking about earlier.
Which is?
Even 1 minute is exponentially better than doing 0 minutes.
Right. One is infinitely more than none.
Exactly. Because learning, real long-term learning, isn't about these heroic, intense boosts of activity where you do a lot once.
No, it's about frequency.
It's about doing that little bit again and again, ensuring frequency over intensity.
Okay, but let me play devil's advocate again here.
Please do.
If the ultimate goal is, high-level fluency, maybe speaking complex ideas, doesn't committing only to 5 minutes risk creating a habit of just minimum effort? Could you get too comfortable doing the bare minimum and never push further?
That's a really valid concern, and I think the material addresses it maybe indirectly.
Wow.
The primary purpose of that 5-minute commitment isn't necessarily about making huge progress in that specific 5 minutes. It's about maintaining momentum.
Momentum, okay.
Think about it. If you only study when you feel motivated enough for a full hour, how many days will you actually skip? Probably most of them, right?
Yeah, probably 80% of days, realistically.
Right. But if you commit to just 5 minutes every single day, no matter what, you keep the engine running, you maintain that momentum, you reinforce your identity. I am someone who learns English every day.
And crucially.
And crucially, often, once that 5 minutes is up, you find yourself thinking, oh, well, I've started now. Maybe I'll just do another 5 or 10.
Because the hardest part, the starting friction, is already overcome.
Exactly. That minimum commitment acts like the ignition key for the car. It doesn't get you to your destination, but without it, you're going nowhere.
Got it. Okay, moving on. Tip number 2 is about remembering your reason. The source calls it your fuel.
The fuel. I like that.
This is really about asking that fundamental question, why? Why, specifically, are you learning this language?
And getting really specific about it.
Yes. Is it for a particular job you want? Is it because you dream of studying abroad? Is it to talk with specific people, family, friends, colleagues? Or maybe it's just for the sheer intellectual fun of it, which is totally valid too.
And that reason, your why, it needs to be strong, doesn't it? Because that's what provides the raw energy when you feel depleted.
Exactly. When you're tired or confused or just plain bored with verb tables.
So the source suggests making it really practical, like physically write that reason down.
Yep. Or say it out loud when you start your day.
Mm.
Keep it somewhere visible, maybe on a sticky note, stuck to your monitor or your bathroom mirror.
So it's not just this abstract idea floating around in your head.
No, it becomes a tangible energy source, something you could literally look at and draw strength from. It's like the destination sign on the motorway that keeps you going when the journey feels long and foggy.
I love that. Okay, tip number 3. This one tackles the biggest enemy of consistency for many people. Just getting started. Starting friction.
Right. The advice here is simple. Make it easy.
Make it easy to start.
Yeah. We all fall into that trap, don't we? Waiting for the perfect conditions.
Oh, definitely. I'll start when I have a quiet hour.
When I have more energy.
When I'm feeling really motivated.
And I'm in the right mood.
Yeah. The source basically says, forget all that. Don't wait for perfect. Perfect never comes.
So what are the strategies then? How do you make it easy?
It's all about using your environment. Designing your surroundings to remove excuses before they even pop up.
Okay.
Simple things, like put the textbook physically on your desk the night before. Don't leave it on the shelf.
Okay. Reduces the effort needed to grab it.
Exactly. Or save the link to that specific YouTube lesson or podcast episode right on the home screen of your phone. One tap and you're in.
Remove the searching step.
Precisely. Or set a timer for just 10 minutes and leave it sitting out where you can see it. The visual reminder prompts action.
The genius here, again it seems, is that the immediate goal isn't to finish the big task. It's just to start.
Just start. Because we all know once you actually start, once you've picked up that book or hit play on that video or open that app, that huge psychological hurdle just shrinks.
Yeah, the inertia is broken.
And the rest often becomes noticeably easier. It's like you trick your brain. By preparing the starting line, you make the path of least resistance the path towards studying, not away from it.
Clever. Okay, then we get to a really crucial emotional piece. Tip number 4. Be kind to yourself.
Self-compassion, so important, so often overlooked.
This directly addresses that inner critic, that often vicious internal dialogue that especially adult learners seem to struggle with when they inevitably make mistakes.
The source actually lists some of those really destructive, negative self-talk phrases we need to watch out for, doesn't it?
It does. Things like, "Ugh, I'm so slow. I'm just bad at English. I'm never going to speak well." Sound familiar?
Painfully familiar for many people.
So instead, the advice is you have to deliberately, consciously substitute those thoughts with positive reframing.
Like what does that sound like in practice?
Like reminding yourself,
Yeah.
okay, I'm learning, or I'm trying my best here, or acknowledging I'm doing something genuinely difficult and I'm doing my best with it today.
And this isn't just about, positive thinking fluff to make you feel momentarily better.
No.
No, the source frames it as a core strategy for endurance. You're a human being, you're in a process of growth, and you actually deserve kindness, especially from yourself.
Why is that strategic?
Because think about the alternative. If every time you try and make a mistake, you punish yourself emotionally, what happens?
You start to associate trying with feeling bad.
Exactly. You internalize this fear response. Trying leads to pain. And eventually that just leads to avoidance. You quit to stop the pain.
Whereas self-compassion,
Self-compassion builds psychological endurance. It allows you to forgive yourself for the inevitable setbacks, pick yourself up, and get back on the climb without all that negative baggage weighing you down. It fuels the return.
it sounds simple though, doesn't it?
Dude.
Just be kind. But when you've just made the same mistake for the 10th time, maybe in front of your teacher or a colleague, how do you actually do that? How do you shift that internal monologue away from self-criticism in the moment?
It takes practice. And maybe some preemptive planning,
Like what?
like deciding ahead of time how you'll react to a mistake. The moment you notice it, you have to interrupt the usual negative thought pattern.
Interrupt and replace.
Yes. The source suggests focusing on the effort or the learning opportunity, not the outcome. So when you hear yourself make that mistake, the immediate internal thought needs to be something like, okay, I caught that mistake. Good. That means I'm paying attention. This is useful data for my next try.
Ah, so you frame the mistake not as proof of inadequacy.
Right, but as necessary feedback, an essential input for future success. It neutralizes the sting.
That makes sense. Okay, the final tip in this practical toolkit, tip number 5.
Mm-hmm.
Celebrate small wins.
Small wins, not just the big breakthroughs.
Exactly. And the source defines these wins so broadly, so inclusively. It's things like, did you listen to any English today? Even for a minute, that's a win.
Okay.
Did you learn one new word or phrase? Win. Did you try to study, even just a little bit, even though you felt absolutely terrible and didn't want to?
That counts too.
That counts as a win too, according to this. It's celebrating the effort itself.
And the key emphasis here seems to be on the act of consciously noticing the achievement, however tiny it seems.
Yes, you don't need huge, earth-shattering results every day. You just need to notice the small steps forward, maybe even mentally smile at them, and allow yourself to feel good about them.
Because they genuinely matter. They add up.
Right. And from a sort of brain perspective, those small celebrations, that feeling good, that's positive reinforcement.
It delivers those little dopamine hits.
Exactly. The reward signals that tell your brain, hey, this activity, it leaves good feelings, let's do it again. It keeps that quiet motivation engine ticking over.
Okay, so that toolkit is great for the day-to-day consistency. But this next section, section 3, tackles what might be the most paralyzing frustration for any learner once they're past the absolute beginner stage.
Which is
That awful feeling of stagnation, asking yourself, am I actually improving at all? Is any of this effort working? Why does my English still feel not good enough?
ugh. Yes, when progress becomes so incremental, so subtle, that it feels exactly like you're just treading water, not moving forward.
It's a really common sticking point, and this section, it feels like the kind of behavioral science answer to that feeling.
How so?
It offers really simple, concrete, almost externalized techniques, ways to actually capture and prove your growth to yourself so it becomes tangible, undeniable.
Making the invisible visible.
Exactly. It tackles that fundamental psychological issue. Our current level of ability often blinds us to how far we've actually come. We forget what it was like before.
Okay, so method number 1. This seems like the simplest, most accessible tool in the box. Write things down.
The humble notebook.
Yep, the instruction is just keep an English notebook.
Yeah.
And you don't have to write essays. Even just one sentence a day is valuable.
A kind of daily log or diary of your effort.
Pretty much. And what should you write in it? The source suggests things like any new words you came across that day, sentences you heard or read that you particularly liked, or maybe most importantly, just a record of what you did in English that day.
Could you give an example of that last one?
Sure. Like literally writing. Today I listened to that podcast for 5 minutes. I learned the word consistency, and I actually understood a short news headline without translating.
Got it. Simple factual reporting of your activity.
Right. But the real brilliance here, the source suggests, isn't in the daily writing itself. It's in the aha moment that comes later.
Later. When?
The guidance specifically tells you, make a point of reading back through your old notes after, say, a week or a month, or maybe even 6 months. Deliberately look back.
And what happens then?
Often, it brings genuine surprise. You read something you wrote a month ago and think, wow, I remember finding that word so difficult, but now I just use it without even thinking.
Or maybe I struggled so much to write just 3 simple sentences back then, but look, last week I wrote a whole paragraph.
Exactly. That feeling of, wow, my past self found this hard, but my present self finds it easy. That is how real, quiet progress often announces itself. It makes your past struggles feel distant, almost alien.
That's a great technique. Okay, method 2. This one is about externalizing and capturing the speaking side of things. Record your voice.
Right. And again, super low tech required. You don't need a fancy microphone or studio. Just use the voice recorder app on your phone.
And what do you record?
The key is consistency. Record yourself saying the exact same 1 or 2 sentences every time. The example given is something like, hello, my name's Sarah. I live in Turkey. I'm learning English because I want to study abroad. Keep it identical.
Okay, so you have a baseline recording. Then what?
Then the critical step. Comparison. You record yourself saying the exact same sentences again, maybe a week later, or ideally a month later.
And then listen to them back to back.
Yes. Compare the first recording with the second one, side by side. The source argues you just can't deny the audible evidence.
What kind of things might you notice?
Often subtle things. Maybe your pronunciation of a tricky sound is just marginally clearer. Perhaps your rhythm and intonation, your cadence, sounds a little smoother, less choppy.
Or maybe just your voice sounds, I don't know, more confident, less hesitant than before.
Exactly. It makes that abstract idea of improvement something concrete, something you can actually hear. It bypasses your potentially biased feelings about your progress.
I like that, making it objective. Okay, tip number 3. This one feels maybe a bit more introspective, requires more self-awareness. Notice quiet signs.
Explain that. What are quiet signs?
The guidance is reminding us here that progress isn't always measured by a test score or getting a certificate or reaching a certain level. Sometimes the most significant progress is silent, internal.
Okay, like what? Give me some examples.
These quiet signs are often the real indicators that deep cognitive changes are happening, that you're moving towards real fluency. We're talking about moments of automaticity.
Automaticity.
Yeah, like understanding a fairly complex sentence instantly, without having to consciously stop and mentally translate it word for word.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
It just lands.
Right. Or watching a short video clip and realizing halfway through, hang on, I haven't needed the subtitles for the last minute.
That's a great feeling.
Or finding yourself speaking for a few seconds, forming a thought in English without consciously translating it in your head first before you open your mouth.
Those feel like huge wins when they happen.
They are huge wins.
Yeah.
If we think about the sort of neuroscience behind it,
Right.
true fluency isn't really about speaking super fast. It's more about radically reducing the cognitive load involved.
Making it less effortful.
Exactly. When you stop having to consciously translate back and forth, you're essentially bypassing that effortful intermediate step of relying on your native language.
The neural pathways are becoming more direct, more automatic.
Precisely. You're shifting from conscious, deliberate effort to more subconscious, automatic retrieval. And that shift from high friction to low friction, from thinking about the language to thinking in the language, that's one of the biggest victories any learner can experience. It's profound.
Definitely. Okay, and finally, method 4 in this section. This addresses a really common psychological trap.
Which is?
Only looking forward, focusing only on the vast expanse of what you still don't know.
The gap focus. Yeah, that's demoralizing.
We do it all the time. Ugh, I still can't speak fast enough. I still make so many basic mistakes. I don't know enough fancy vocabulary for my job.
Yeah.
We're always focused on the deficit.
So the required shift here, the source says, is to deliberately force yourself to look back, not just forward.
Like the mountain analogy again.
Exactly. Actively ask yourself, what could I not do 1 month ago or 6 months ago that I can do now, even if imperfectly?
Be specific.
Mm-hmm.
Could you understand a conversation like this one 2 months ago? Maybe not.
Could you write even 3 coherent sentences in English without immense effort back then? Perhaps it was a huge struggle.
So looking back, it validates the effort again. It proves you're not actually stuck, even when it feels that way.
Yes. The source really hammers this point home. Progress is sometimes slow, maybe even painfully slow. But slow progress, when applied consistently over time, is still the only real way to get there.
It reinforces that incremental, compounded nature of learning anything complex. Small gains, repeated often, lead to massive results eventually.
Okay, let's pivot slightly now. The source seems to want us to shift our whole perspective on the nature of this effort.
How so?
It really doubles down on that idea that learning is a journey, not a race.
Right. You don't need to win or finish first.
Not only do you not need to, but rushing is often counterproductive. It leads to burnout or shallow learning. The only thing that's actually required is just continuing. Keep walking the path.
That framing alone feels like it takes a weight off, doesn't it? It removes that toxic competitive pressure that can really paralyze adult learners especially.
Totally. It gives you permission. Permission to rest when you need to. Permission to have slow periods. Maybe even permission for temporary regressions where things feel harder again for a bit.
It acknowledges that this is a marathon, like you said earlier. A long walk, not some frantic sprint to a finish line that might not even exist.
Exactly. And a massive part of navigating this long journey successfully, according to the source, is about conquering probably the single most common fear.
Let me guess. The fear of making mistakes.
Bingo. Learners get so worried, don't they? Nervous about saying something wrong, sounding silly, getting their grammar tangled up.
It can be paralyzing.
But the lesson from this guidance is absolutely unequivocal. Mistakes are not just like allowed, they're not just permitted. They are an essential, natural, completely irreplaceable part of the learning process.
Mistakes are how you grow.
Precisely. They are the feedback mechanism in action. And to really drive this point home and make it feel less threatening, the source uses another brilliant, universally relatable analogy.
Which is?
The baby analogy.
Oh, okay. Tell me about it.
Think about when a baby is learning to walk. Does it just stand up one day and stroll perfectly across the room?
Absolutely not. It falls down. A lot.
Constantly. It falls hundreds, maybe thousands of times. But what does society do? What do the parents and onlookers do when the baby falls?
They don't criticize its flawed biomechanics or lack of ankle strength?
Exactly. We don't critique the errors. We smile, we encourage, we clap, we say, oops, up you get, try again.
We celebrate the effort, not the perfection.
Precisely. And the source says, you need to adopt the exact same attitude towards your English mistakes.
So if you use the wrong verb tense or forget the is on a word,
It's okay, it's just a fall. And if someone, maybe a kind teacher or friend, gently corrects you, that's totally okay too. In fact, it's helpful. It means you were brave enough to try in the first place, and now you have new information to help you on the next attempt.
it reframes correction not as criticism, but as helpful guidance.
And it reminds us, nobody speaks perfectly all the time, not even native speakers. We all stumble, misspeak, use awkward phrasing sometimes.
That's
So the crucial takeaway here is you, the learner, need to be brave enough to consciously override that internal perfectionist critic.
You have to just speak anyway, write anyway, practice anyway.
Yeah.
Even if it feels scary.
Yes. That bravery to act, despite the possibility of imperfection, has to win out over the paralysis of wanting to be perfect before you even try.
There's another act of courage, really, committing to the action regardless of the potential for error.
Definitely. But okay, let's acknowledge a nuance here.
Go on.
While that baby analogy is fantastic for neutralizing the fear of failure in a general sense, adult learners often carry a much deeper, more complex fear. It's the fear of, like, public embarrassment or losing face, losing status among peers. A baby doesn't have that social anxiety.
That's a very fair point. The stakes can feel higher for adults. So how do we apply the it's okay to fall principle when that social risk feels more significant?
I think the key, building on the source's ideas, is to consciously shift where you place the value. The guidance implies the real value lies in successful communication, not in grammatical perfection. Meaning, if you manage to get your message across, if the other person understands what you intended to say, even if you used slightly imperfect grammar or vocabulary to do it, you've succeeded.
Ah, the primary goal was achieved.
Right. The mistake becomes secondary to the accomplishment of connection and understanding. It's about prioritizing function, did it work, over perfect form.
That's a helpful distinction, function over form.
And tying back into maintaining motivation over the long haul, the source fundamentally argues for making the learning process itself enjoyable, treating it like play, not like some serious, stressful chore.
If it feels like relentless pressure, you'll eventually burn out.
Exactly. But if it feels more like play, something you choose to do because it's interesting or fun, you'll naturally want to return to it more often.
Okay, so how do you actually do that? How do you operationalize fun in language learning?
The source gives some simple, practical examples. Listen to English music, but music you genuinely enjoy anyway.
Not just assigned listening exercises.
Right. Watch short, maybe funny or interesting videos on topics you like. Talk to yourself in English in the mirror about your day. Make it lighthearted.
And read stuff. But read something interesting, it says. Something you're actually curious about, not just dry textbook passages.
Basically, integrate the language into activities and topics that already bring you joy or pique your curiosity. Weave it into your existing habits.
And this isn't just like feel-good advice, is it? There's a cognitive reason behind it.
Oh, absolutely. There's a strong cognitive and neurological basis for this. When you're enjoying the learning process, when the material is associated with positive emotions, your brain is actually more receptive. You learn more efficiently.
Why is that?
Because enjoyment, interest, positive feelings, they activate the brain's reward pathways. And when you literally smile while you're studying or feel a sense of fun, your brain releases chemicals like dopamine, which are crucial for attention, motivation, and memory consolidation.
So the brain literally remembers better when it's having fun.
Pretty much. Find what you love doing anyway, whether that's cooking or gaming or history or celebrity gossip, whatever, and find ways to do that in English. It makes the learning almost effortless, a byproduct of enjoyment.
Okay, so we've journeyed through the internal landscape, the mindset, the self-talk. We've looked at the daily habits for consistency, the ways to track progress, the importance of embracing mistakes and finding joy.
We've covered a lot of ground.
Now, let's zoom all the way out. Let's look at the really big picture. Why is all this effort, this marathon of consistency we've been talking about, why is it actually worth it?
Right. What's the ultimate payoff?
And the source here, it fundamentally shifts how we should think about the English language itself. It says, English isn't just another subject you study in school, like history or math.
Okay. What is it then?
It's a tool, and it's a key.
A tool and a key. Explain that.
A tool that you can use everywhere, in countless situations in real life, far beyond any classroom, and a key that unlocks doors to opportunities and connections.
Opportunities that might otherwise remain closed.
Exactly. And the sheer scale of the connectivity that this tool, English, provides. It's kind of breathtaking when you stop to think about it.
How many people are we talking about?
The source mentions over 1.5 billion people speaking English today, to some degree. 1.5 billion.
Wow. That's a huge chunk of the planet.
It really is. And what that means, practically speaking, is that once you have this tool, this language, you're potentially never truly alone, no matter where you happen to be geographically.
You can always find someone to connect with, some information to access.
Right. You gain access to conversations, to online communities, to knowledge bases from literally every corner of the globe.
And the source highlights the diversity this unlocks, doesn't it? It's not just about connecting with, say, Americans or Brits.
No, not at all. What was really impactful was the list of specific countries mentioned as examples of where English acts as this bridge. Places like Brazil, Vietnam, Iran, Spain, Iraq, Ukraine, Russia, South Korea, Japan, Indonesia, Thailand.
Wow, that's a seriously diverse list.
It really underscores the point. English often functions as the common linguistic ground between people from radically different cultures who might share no other language.
It gives you a way to actually understand someone with a completely different background and a way for them to understand you.
That ability to connect directly across those cultural and national borders, that's incredibly powerful. It's like a form of global citizenship.
So it offers this huge global connection, this opportunity, like you said, a way to talk to people from different countries, make new friends online maybe.
And fundamentally, it lets you join global conversations rather than just passively listening from the outside, maybe through translations or summaries.
You move from being just an observer of what's happening in the world
to potentially being an active participant, having your own voice heard.
And this huge connective power, it leads directly into the next big idea: practical freedom.
Practical freedom.
Yeah. The source argues that learning English gives you, the learner, a dramatically wider set of real-world choices. And this isn't just some vague feel-good benefit, it's profoundly economic and personal.
Okay, break that down. What kind of choices? Let's start with the professional side.
Well, think about it. For so many international jobs, English proficiency isn't a nice-to-have anymore. It's often the baseline requirement just to get your foot in the door.
True. And for studying abroad,
Yeah.
countless university programs worldwide are taught partially or entirely in English.
Traveling becomes easier, richer. Securing remote work with international companies often hinges on strong English skills.
It also allows you to understand global events more directly, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Not just relying on your local news outlets' interpretation or translation.
Absolutely. You get access to a wider range of perspectives and primary sources, but it's not just about international opportunities.
No.
The source makes the point that even if you stay within your own country, English is becoming increasingly relevant. Well, more and more domestic companies, even small ones, are part of global supply chains now. They need employees who can communicate with international partners or customers.
Right. And think about technology. So many websites, sophisticated software tools, technical manuals, even the interfaces on complex machinery.
They often use English as their primary or sometimes only language.
So without that key, English, you might be limited to localized versions that are perhaps lagging behind or maybe less complete or just don't exist.
You're restricted. So pulling all that together, the argument is that learning English might be one of the single most practical skills anyone can acquire in our interconnected world today.
It exponentially increases your freedom, your opportunities, your access to information and people.
It genuinely helps build a future where you can navigate and participate in the whole global landscape with much greater autonomy and independence.
It really is a skill that pays dividends across almost every aspect of life. Personal, professional, intellectual. #outro.
Wow. So we've really covered the spectrum today, haven't we? From the deep internal mindset shifts
Yeah, like normalizing the struggle with that mountain analogy.
to the really practical day-to-day toolkit for consistency, like doing just a little.
And those clever strategies for making progress visible, even when it feels slow. The notebook, the voice recordings.
Then shifting to embracing the whole process as a journey, mistakes and all. Finding the playfulness in it.
And finally, zooming out to see English not just as a subject, but as that powerful tool, that key.
Unlocking choices, freedom, and incredible global connection.
It's been a comprehensive deep dive into the engine room of long-term learning success, drawing from this really insightful source.
Agreed.
And now, here's maybe the final, most powerful piece of encouragement that this source offers you, the listener.
Okay.
It says, it genuinely doesn't matter if you speak slowly right now. It doesn't matter if you still make mistakes, even the same ones repeatedly. It doesn't matter if you feel nervous or shy when you try to speak.
Speed is irrelevant. Perfection doesn't matter.
According to this, no. What truly matters, the single victory that ultimately determines your long-term success, is simply this. You are trying, you are growing, you are showing up.
That sheer tenacity, that consistent effort, however imperfect, that's the real measure of success on this journey.
Beautifully put.
So perhaps this leaves us with an important question for you, the listener, to take away and reflect on.
Okay.
We spent a chunk of time back in section 2 talking about how your personal reason, your why, is your essential fuel, the energy source you tap into on those hard days.
Right, the fuel tank.
So thinking about your own reasons right now, what stands out for you as the single most powerful, most visceral, strongest component of your primary why?
Get specific. Is it dreaming of that particular job? Is it wanting to connect deeply with a specific friend or family member? Is it the pure intellectual joy of accessing books or films in their original language?
Identify that core driver, that initial, most powerful reason that got you started. Try and make it really tangible in your mind right now. And then use that specific image or feeling as your direct, potent fuel for your very next small step, whether that step is just 5 minutes of listening later today or writing down one brave sentence in your notebook tomorrow morning.
Remember that your original motivation, it is strong.
Yeah.
And just showing up again tomorrow, taking that next small step, that's the only victory that truly counts in the end.